Welcome to USA Bedtime Story, a quiet corner of the internet made just for you, to slow down and wind and gently drift into sleep. You've had a long day. Maybe it was busy. Maybe your mind's still racing. Or maybe you're just looking for a peaceful voice to keep you company as you fall asleep. Whatever brought you here, I'm glad you made it. This is your space now. A calm, cozy space where there are no deadlines, no notifications, no pressure, just rest. Each night on this channel, I'll guide you through a soothing bedtime story. Spoken softly and slowly, stories without drama, without action, without suspense. Stories that go nowhere in the most relaxing way possible. Because not. Everything has to be exciting. Sometimes, boring is beautiful. You might hear the gentle sound of a breeze, or the slow rhythm of footsteps on an empty road. A meandering tale about a man who takes too long to brew tea, or a story about clouds floating over sleepy towns. It doesn't really matter where the story goes. What matters is how it feels. Safe, gentle, familiar. Like your favorite blanket. So take a deep breath, and then another one, slower this time. Let your body sink a little deeper into the bed. Let the muscles in your face soften. Let go of whatever today has to view. Tonight, there is no next thing. There's just now. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to do nothing. You are allowed to simply sleep. So, if your eyes get heavy halfway through the story, that's okay. If you don't hear the ending, that's perfect. That's exactly what we're here for. This is USA Bedtime Story, where peace comes one word at a time. Now, let's begin tonight's journey into sleep. Hello there. Tonight, we'll take a slow journey into the frost-covered world of the Norse, far away in both time and place. Imagine yourself bundled in thick wool. The air sharp with winter's bite. Snow drifts softly outside, muffling the world. While inside, firelight flickers along earthen walls. This is a quiet, grounding look at the forgotten daily lives, the soft-footed rituals, the uncelebrated people, and the cold breath of a long, northern winter. You are not alone. Round you, the ancient rhythms of Viking life unfold quietly in the dark. This is not a tale of warriors and battles. Not quite. We'll begin with a thrall's life, then drift into a mythic biography. We'll examine a mysterious ship burial, and finally, end our journey in the warm halls of the Norse elite. Settle in, breathe deeply, and let the past settle over you like a fur cloak. Let's begin. Why it sucked to be a Viking thrall in 9th century Norway. Approximately 30 to 35 minutes. Imagine waking in darkness. Not the soft, velvety dark of your bedroom, but a biting cold void beneath a sod roof, with only the faintest orange glow from a dying hearth. You are lying on a bed of straw. It issues. Bits of it stick to your damp skin. Your tunic smells of old sweat, smoke, and all. There's no pillow, just your folded arm, already numb. You are a thrall, a slave, in a small Viking farmstead, somewhere near the rugged coastline of 9th century Norway. The morning begins. You don't rise when you want. You rise when you're told. Maybe you'll take her. Dull knife to the fish rack outside, where gutted cod dangle stiff as planks. You slice the pieces, preparing dry winter fare. No spice, no fire, just preservation. The farmer's wife, her hair braided, her expression stern, stirs first, and then so must you, is silence. Labor, obedience, the light it casts is orange, flickering, warm, but not enough. Your chores wait. As do her commands. You might be tasked with gathering frozen water from the stream, your fingers stiff and red by the time you return. The rhythm of your life, the farm stirred round you, their breath mists the air. You hear them shifting through the night. They are better fed than you are. The house is one long room. A longhouse, they call it. Walls of packed mud and timber. Low ceiling beams darkened by decades of smoke. The hearth sits in the middle. Its smoke escapes through a small vent in the roof, though most of it curls lazily through the room, coating everything in soot. You chew slowly, not from leisure, but from necessity. Make it last. You don't waste it. You're not allowed to. Complaining is remembered. Complaining earns you the back of a hand, or worse, exiled to the snow until you learn silence. Carried across ice-glazed trails with bundles of hay. You are not asked if you mind. You are property. You are exchanged, like a sack of oats. He mocks your clothes, which were once someone else's. His voice cracks with youth, but it holds power. You must listen. You sleep near the livestock. Goats, mostly. Sometimes a cow. You listen to their stories. Of gods and giants and the great sea kings. You do not sit at it. That's for the family. You stay. Back, in the shadows. Your fingers are red. Your toes numb. Food and hunger. Breakfast is not a meal. It is a handful of barley bread, left over from yesterday. Dry, no meat. That's for the family. Maybe some skyer. A kind of sour milk, if the cows have produced. Maybe not. You are always a little hungry, but you do not complain. Tasks in the cold, your work continues. Splitting wood, tending animals, gathering twigs for kindling, cleaning muck from the floor. You kneel so often, your knees are calloused. The farm will stir to life, but you will still be a thrall. In winter, daylight is precious and brief. The farmer's son, younger than you, orders you round. Sometimes you are lent to other farms. When there's nothing to do, in the long evenings, you sit near the hearth. You sew, or patch boots, but no one asks your story. No one wants to hear it, and so you stay quiet, watching the sparks rise into the rafters, listening to the snow pat softly outside. Punishment, powerlessness, and passing days. Some thralls are beaten, some are sold, some simply vanish, taken on ships or into mines, to lands you've only heard whispered about. But most, like you, survive. Day by day. You measure time not in days or months, but in eggs, in frozen mornings, in empty bowls. When the sun returns, weeks or months from now, the ice will begin to melt. Your rhythm is unbroken. Your purpose defined by others. And still you work. You endure. The longhouse is quiet now. The farmer snores. You lie awake, staring into the smoke-darkened rafters. Somewhere above, the wind howls over the fjords. The gods are far away. The hearth embers glow, and you simply wait for sleep. As the snow continues to fall gently outside, let us leave the life of the thrall behind for now, and drift forward into legend. The life or legend of Lagertha the Shieldmaiden as the snow settles into drifts outside the longhouse. Let your mind wander now. Through time and mist, picture the crackling of a different fire. One told around in hushed voices, not by thralls, but by storytellers, skalds, wrapped in cloaks. Seated near hearths like the one we've just left. Or perhaps she did. Her name drifts through sagas like smoke. Lagertha. Tonight, we visit a woman who may have never existed at all. He writes of her not as a myth, and not quite as a fact, but as something in between. The fog of sagas we begin with silence. The kind that history often leaves round women. Lagertha's name first appears not in Norse epics, but in the 12th century writings of a Danish historian named Saxo Grammaticus. In Saxo's Gesta Danorum, Lagertha is brave. She is fierce. She is beautiful. She is a warrior, and yet a woman whose story bends round the men she encounters. But let's slow down and gently step into the parts of her story that remain. A woman in a time of war. When he came to avenge his grandfather's death, she rose from among the women to join the fray. Her hair tied back, her eyes sharp, her movements calm. Imagine yourself in a Norse village under threat. The Sea Kings, rivals from across the waves, have attacked. Men are dying. The village calls for anyone who can fight. One, standing slightly apart, is tall, stern, and quiet. You walk among the women, not cowering, but gathering. They wear armor. Some have crude swords. Some carry axes. That is Lagertha. They say she fought alongside the famous Ragnar Lodbrok. Just rhythm, the clang of metal, the breath of cold air, the weight of each step. Others believe she was inspired by the Herva, the shield maidens who stood shoulder to shoulder with men in rare, desperate times. In the shield wall, there is no time for legend. Washing blood from her hands. Not triumphant, not legendary, just tired. Lagertha moves through the battle like a whisper. Efficient, deadly. Saxo writes, Lagertha, a skilled Amazon, though a maiden, had the courage of a man, the flicker of the fire, the softness of fur beneath them, the comfort of legend. It all blends into sleep. He speaks of how she held the line when others fled, of how she ruled after Ragnar, of how she, in the end, took his life to protect her own. A woman with agency, with armor, with silence and with steel. In a culture shaped by loyalty, fate, and battle, she offers a quiet kind of rebellion. He goes on, as chroniclers often do, to describe her beauty, her marriage, her betrayal, her return to battle. But close your eyes now, and instead imagine her alone, by a river after the fight, fact or fiction. The story blurs here, as it often does. Was Lagertha real? Maybe. Maybe not. She is there, in the fight, in the story, in the minds of those who told her tale century after century. Some historians believe her tale is a woven echo, a merging of many women's lives into one name. There is no grave with her name, No sword that can be traced. Only words, drifting like snow through the sagas. Still, her image persists, not as a queen, nor as a mother, but as a warrior in a world that rarely welcomed women on the battlefield. A hearth-side memory, the sagas are not loud stories. They're spoken at night, told beside the fire. Imagine an old man's voice, slow and steady, telling a child of Lagertha. The child does not ask if it's real. They simply listen. What she meant, then and now, whether Lagertha was real, is perhaps not the most important part. What matters is the shape her story took. The rhythm of her tale is not one of glory, but of presence. Now, the longhouse grows darker. The fire is embers, and the saga fades. Let's turn now to something buried, something still. A ship beneath the earth, where two women lie with treasures and secrets. The mystery of the Oseberg ship burial as our journey drifts deeper into stillness. Let us now walk slowly into the cold soil of southern Norway. It is the year 834. The air smells faintly of pine and frost beneath a great mound of earth. A ship rests, not on water, but in silence, a final voyage carved into time itself. The wind whispers through low hills, and before you, buried deep beneath turf and stone, sleeps the Oseberg ship. You stand at the edge of the burial site, wood, but not ordinary wood dot ancient dot strong, ornately carved. The unearthing fast forward softly, now, to the summer of 1904. A farmer near the town of Tinsberg has been digging a field, when his spade strikes something hollow. Its prow curves like the neck of a swan, carved with serpents and spirals, intricate and otherworldly. Not made for war or trade, but for ceremony, for death. It emerges. Soon, archaeologists arrive. They dig carefully, brushing away centuries of soil. And then, the ship, over 70 feet long. Inside the ship, two women inside the vessel, under layers of clay and stone. They find two women. One is aged, about 70. The other, younger, perhaps 50. Their bones are delicate. One had a broken collarbone, partially healed. Their faces are lost to time, but their presence is commanding. They are surrounded by objects, carpets woven with colored thread, wooden carts with painted, sides, slender beds with animal carvings, a sleigh, buckets made from yew. Prepared, their journey to the afterlife was lined with beauty, silk from far away, feathers, apples, dried and withered with age, but with purpose, ritual. Every item placed not for utility. These women were not buried in haste. They were honored. Who? Were they, perhaps Issa, mother of Halfdan the Black, grandmother to Harald Fairhair, the first king of Norway? And now, we wonder softly, who were they? Some say the elder was a queen. Others suggest priestesses, Velia, seeresses who held sacred knowledge, women who walked between worlds. A world of symbols, a ship between life and death. The younger woman may have been a companion, a servant, a relative, an acolyte. No names were left, no inscriptions, only silence and offerings. Earth was piled high over the vessel, sealing it from air, and for a time preserving it. But the richness of the burial, more lavish than any other female Viking grave, tells us something. These were not ordinary women. They held power, not through sword or crown, but through reverence. Objects of mystery, the ship held no weapons, no shields, no war spoils, but there were tapestries, faded, threadbare, woven with scenes of animals and figures, horses, processions, rites. No one knows what they mean. Some think they depict a ritual. Others see a symbolic map of the soul's journey. The wood carvings, dragons and vines, suggest not violence, but transcendence. But their presence endures through carved wood and faded thread, through soil and silence. The resting place, the ship, was buried beneath a great mound. But time is patient. Moisture and rot crept in. The skeletons were nearly destroyed. Only fragments remained. Still, what was left told a story not of death, but of care. Intention. This was not just a burial. It was a statement. Whoever buried them, tribe, family, kingdom, wanted the world to remember. A quiet legacy, and so we remember. Even now, the Oseberg ship rests in the Viking Ship Museum in Oslo, quiet, revered. Its prow reaches upward like a prayer. Visitors pass by slowly, almost reverently, their footsteps echoing softly on the stone floor. The ship does not speak. The women do not rise. As we step away now, the night deepens, the snow falls slower. Let us rise gently from the earth and walk one last time into firelight, into warmth, into power, not of queens, but of jarls. The elite contrast. The jarl's longhouse, approximately 30 to 40 minutes, the wind has quieted now. The snow lies undisturbed across the fjords and forest pots. You walk slowly uphill, your boots pressing deep into the frozen ground. Ahead, warm amber light spills from a narrow doorway. His title does not mean king, but it is not far from it. You are entering the longhouse of a jarl, a Norse chieftain. The door creaks open. Heat rushes toward your face. You step inside. The longhouse interior here. The air is thick with hearth smoke and the scent of roasted meat. His beard is braided. He wears a silver arm ring, a mark of his authority. When he speaks, others listen. When he pauses, they stay silent. The walls are timbered, darkened by years of fire. Thick firs line the benches. The ceiling arches overhead, beams lashed together with iron and rope. This is not just a home. It is a symbol of wealth, lineage, and control. The jarl sits at the head of the hall, cloaked in dyed wool. His voice is deep but measured, feasting and hierarchy of expectation. The guests are ranged by rank. Closest to the jarl, his warriors, his kin. Further down, traders, craftsmen, poets. Barley, fish, and some root vegetables, a cup of mead. Warmth spreads slowly in your belly. It is a feast night. The long house is full. Not crowded. There is space here, but full of purpose. And still further, near the smoke hole, the servants, the thralls, first. There is speaking. You are offered a place along the wall, a bowl of stew. The story is slow, deliberate. Each line is met with murmurs, respect. There is no music, not yet. The power of words in Shedmead, in the shifting loyalties of those who eat at his fire. The skald, the poet, stands. He is thin, hooded and solemn. His voice rises like a soft chant, telling of a raid far away, or perhaps a storm, or a dream the jarl once had. Words are currency here. Stories can secure favor. Praise, too, is a weapon, as sharp as any sword. The jarl owns combs of carved antler, iron tools, even spices from distant shores. Under the surface, tension and control, but not all is as peaceful as it seems. Power, here, is not absolute. It must be constantly confirmed. The room is curtained. The walls are etched with runes meant to ward off spirits. Summers are for travel, raiding, or receiving visitors. The jarl watches those round him, who speaks too loudly, who avoids his eye, who does not raise their cup when he does. His wife, seated beside him, speaks little, but she notices more. Whispers travel faster than wind. Who paid tribute, who delayed, who murmured dissatisfaction in the cold, dark corners of the longhouse, their alliances, and beneath them, uncertainties. The rhythm of the jarless world is not forged in battle. It is woven in glances. Luxuries of the elite despite the tension. There is comfort here, unmatched by most Norse homes. The furs are thick, the food is rich. Candles of imported wax flicker beside the hearth. His hall is a place of trade, a symbol of reach. His guests bring amber, walrus ivory, soapstone. The jarl sits alone with his thoughts, or perhaps with a skald who knows how to speak without straying too much. At night, he sleeps on a bed of down and linen, his boots set carefully at its foot. Outside, the wind howls, but inside, the jarl's fire never dies. Seasons of power the year turns slowly here. Winters are for feasting and storytelling, reflection. The jarl holds things. Public assemblies, decisions are made, disputes settled, but always on his terms, even in moments of calm. He is calculating who to reward, who to exile, who to keep close. His status must be renewed with every gesture. Authority, here, is not taken for granted. It is tended, like the hearth fed, guarded, watched. The quiet of night now, the guests have gone. The fires burn low. Outside, snow settles over the beams. The world is hushed again. Inside, the jarl sleeps, dreaming perhaps of the next voyage, the next trade, the next feast. Or perhaps of quiet, because even for those with power, the long dark brings silence and sleep. The end of the Viking Age, fading fires and changing winds, the longhouse stands still. Its beams creak in the cold, but the world outside is changing. It does not rive with thunder, or even with ships. It rives with time. Shifts in the wind. It is the 11th century. The seas are quieter. Fewer raids. Fewer fires on the horizon. But now they begin to return. And they bring new ideas. The sons of the north have traveled far, to England, to Francia, to the east. New gods. The cross replaces the hammer. Slowly. Gently. A new rhythm begins. Conversion without flames, the Norse did not all resist Christianity. Some welcomed it, not out of fear, but trade-alliance. Curiosity. The first churches are built near old temples. The bells ring softly, blending with the wind. Priests arrive with books, with wine, with new songs, sung in Latin. Even the jarls listen. A king converts, others follow. But even now, deep in the countryside, small altars to Thor remain hidden behind new walls. From sagas to scriptures the skulls fade. Their voices soften, written words take over. Law codes, gospels, documents. The stories of gods and giants are no longer sung aloud. They are written down by monks, their edges softened, their meanings shifted, the rhythms change, but memory lingers. The final winter, some say the Viking Age ended in 1066, when Harold Hardrada fell at Stamford Bridge, a final blaze of Norse ambition. But truly, it ended in the quiet, in the unlit hearts, the abandoned ship burials, the names no longer carved in runes, not with battle, but with forgetting. Echoes remain, and yet, even now, if you walk the coastline of Norway or step into a silent longhouse in Iceland, you can still feel it. The way the walls lean, the way the fire sits in the center. The rhythm of their lives still echoes, faint but familiar. And in your sleep tonight, if you hear the whisper of wind through pine, perhaps, just perhaps, it's not only the wind. The forgotten work, Viking women and the rhythm of survival, the longhouse sleeps now. But even in stillness, the rhythm continues. Let us now shift our gaze from battles and burials to the quieter, enduring force behind Norse life, the women, not warriors in the field, perhaps, but guardians of warmth, memory, and survival. Our morning begins. Imagine yourself now not as a thrall, nor a jarl, but a woman of the Norse household. The air inside the longhouse is thick with yesterday's smoke. The coals from the hearth are still warm. Carefully, you stir them back to life. You rise before the sun. You feed the fire-dried peat. Slowly, softly, the orange glow returns. It casts long shadows on the woven tapestries hanging near your bed. You wrap yourself in wool. Your fingers are already working, always working, twisting flax into thread, inspecting your child's tunic for tears. The weight of fabric weaving is your power. The loom stands tall and quiet, leaning against a frame near the longhouse wall. You pull taut the warp, vertical threads, and weave the weft, left to right. Back and forth, softly, steadily. It will take weeks to make enough cloth for a cloak. The rhythm is gentle, meditative, but never-ending. Thread becomes cloth, cloth becomes clothing, and clothing becomes inheritance. A way to keep the cold away, to prepare for trade, for dowry, for life. This is not artistry. It is necessity. Preserving and preparing outside, you check the drying racks. Fish, salted weeks ago, hang stiff and pale. You know the smells, the textures, the faint changes in weather that affect everything. You are not only a mother, you are memory. You tap a wooden barrel with your knuckle. Inside, rude vegetables rest in cold brine. Turnips, carrots, onions. You collect eggs, Skim cream. Pour cooled milk into a clay vessel for curdling. A whispered thanks. A gesture. A braid woven just so. Childcare and kinship. Children stir nearby. One coughs. Another pulls his tunic over his knees. Your hands never stop, but your spirit does not strain. Their stories are told not loudly, but in recipes, in lullabies, in the exact way you fold the bedding straw. But of rhythm, you soothe them without words. Adjust the fire. Offer a wooden spoon of porridge, thickened with oats and a bit of goat milk. The children breathing beside you. You smile at the fire. You teach them as you work. Show them the motion of spinning, of folding, of fetching water without spilling. Spiritual labor at the door. You leave a small bone carving, a protective rune. Not everyone speaks of the gods, but everyone honors them in these tiny ways. Perhaps it is Frigu fever, or Sif, or perhaps an ancestor, long gone but never absent. The end of the day the light feeds again. The cold creeps closer. You patch one last tunic. You grind grain into flour. This is not a life of rest, and as your head rests at last upon the forbedding, the day was quiet, but whole. Hell, for those who passed quietly. And others still, the Draugr, who might return from the grave, not as terror, but as warning. If forgotten, the cows might go dry, their child might fall ill. Let us stay by the warmth a little longer, and turn now toward the flickering edge between the seen and the unseen, spirits in the smoke. Norse pagan beliefs during winter approximately 25 to 35 minutes. Outside, the world is still. The snow falls so gently, it seems frozen in the air. But inside the longhouse, candles flicker low, and in the warmth of the hearth, something older stirs. Healing words for a fever, a binding spell for safe passage. Not a god, not quite a ghost, but a feeling that the line between this world and the next has grown thin. A world of hidden forces. The Norse did not believe in one heaven, nor in one hell. Instead, their world shimmered with layers. There was Midgard, the realm of humankind, and beyond it, Oseberg, where gods dwelled, Niflheim. A world of ice, but in everyday life, it was the little spirits they noticed, the land wights. House spirits, the Huldra, who might steal a cow. She might sleep by the hearth. In the morning, she tells you what she's seen. Weather, harvest, danger, the winter veil in deep winter, especially during Jul, the old Norse Yule. That veil between the worlds seemed thinner. You imagine a bowl of porridge left out at night. Not for a guest, but for the Nis, a small spirit who protects the home. You carve runes into wood, not from magic, but from memory. Each one a symbol, each one an offering. You tell no one your dreams. Not in these weeks, because dreams might mean something now. Ritual in small things, there are no grand temples here. Just daily reverence. A bone placed on a window ledge. A drop of mead spilled on the earth. A quiet chant whispered into the wind. Perhaps the matriarch of the house knows a few charms. Began to fade, and with them, the old ways. The power is not in the drama. It's in the doing. The veil every so often. one might come to the village of Aelva as Cirrus. Her rival is quiet, but unmistakable. Wrapped in dark furs, staff in hand, eyes sharp but distant. She speaks few words, and then, like mist, she is gone. No one says her name, but everyone remembers. Night falls, the fire dies down, the shadows rise. You lie in silence, uncertain whether you feel watched or guarded. You clutch the amulet at your neck. It is small, carved from bone, in the shape of a horse. For Sleipnir, for travel, for protection. You close your eyes. And if something moves through the smoke tonight, you trust it will pass quietly. Let's move now, forward in time, to when these beliefs, the end of the Viking Age, fading fires and changing winds, the longhouse stands still. Its beams creak in the cold, but the world outside is changing. It does not rive with thunder, or even with ships. It rives with time. Shifts in the wind, it is the 11th century. The seas are quieter. Fewer raids, fewer fires on the horizon. But now, they begin to return. And they bring new ideas. The sons of the North have traveled far, to England, to Francia, to the east. New gods. The cross replaces the hammer. Slowly. Gently. A new rhythm begins. Conversion without flames. The Norse did not all resist Christianity. Some welcomed it, not out of fear, but trade. Alliance. Curiosity. The first churches are built near old temples. The bells ring softly, blending with the wind. Priests arrive with books, with wine, with new songs, sung in Latin. Even the jarls listen. A king converts, others follow. But even now, deep in the countryside, small altars to Thor remain hidden behind new walls. From sagas to scriptures the skulls fade. Their voices soften. Written words take over. Law codes, gospels, documents. The stories of gods and giants are no longer sung aloud. They are written down by monks. Their edges softened. Their meanings shifted. The rhythms change. But memory lingers. The final winter, some say the Viking Age ended in 1066, when Harold Hardrada fell at Stamford Bridge, a final blaze of Norse ambition. But truly, it ended in the quiet, in the unlit hearts, the abandoned ship burials, the names no longer carved in runes, not with battle, but with forgetting. Echoes remain, and yet, even now, if you walk the coastline of Norway, or step into a silent longhouse in Iceland, you can still feel it. The way the walls lean, the way the fire sits in the center. The rhythm of their lives still echoes, faint but familiar. And in your sleep tonight, if you hear the whisper of wind through pine, perhaps, just perhaps, it's not only the wind. And now, if you're still awake, you've just traveled through another gentle story here on USA Bedtime Story. But if sleep has already wrapped you in its quiet arms, then don't worry. That was the plan all along. No need to rewind. No need to finish the story. This space is here for you, night after night, with soft words, steady rhythms, and calm thoughts to carry you into deep, peaceful rest. So whenever your mind feels busy, Whenever the world feels loud, just come back here. Let these stories be your gentle reminder that rest isn't earned, it's natural. That stillness is sacred, and that you deserve good sleep. Thank you for spending your night with me. And if you found comfort here, feel free to come back tomorrow, or any time you need a little help drifting off. Until next time, sleep well, dream soft, and good night from USA Bedtime Stories.